Of the 4 selections on the ACT reading test, 1 will be prose fiction. That means the selection comes from a short story or novel, probably one you've never read before. This will be the only fiction selection on the ACT reading test and will be between 750 and 1,000 words in length, which is between 2 and 3 pages of text double-spaced in a 12-point font. So let's return to the classroom and talk more about the prose fiction selection. All right, let's talk more about the prose fiction section. Different things you want to look at when you're reading the prose fiction section. First one, mood. Mood questions are about the mood of the selection. These questions ask you how the selection intends you to feel towards maybe the main topic, a particular character in the selection, or even the mood of the selection itself in general. What is the selection trying to make the reader feel? You can expect in the prose fiction section at least one question dealing with the mood. As a review, when reading fiction, you also want to pay attention to tone. Tone questions ask you about the author's attitude about a subject or character. Is the author being sarcastic, serious, objective? Does the treatment of a particular character illustrate the author's attitude? Sometimes it's difficult to pick up on things like sarcasm when it's a written word, so you want to find things that maybe are where someone is writing the opposite of what you would expect. So at that point, then you say, oh, that might be sarcastic, or they're not intending it. Then the question about tone should be easier to answer. When reading prose fiction, obviously, it's going to be some questions about plot. Plot questions are the ones that will ask you about the sequence of events or motives of a character in a selection. So, as we mentioned in the other sections, you do want to mark the test itself, underline or star the main events and turning points in the selection so that you can get to them for easy reference. Beyond that, you're bound to find some questions on characterization. These questions ask about what a character does, says, or what others say about a character, as well as why. So you want to look for descriptions and actions presented about characters and make note of personality traits that come from them. So when you're reading, you want to keep it as if you're visualizing a story and looking for who, what, where, when, and why. And if you keep those things in mind while you're skimming through it quickly, those questions you might be able to answer right away. Within the questions, some will ask you to infer or read between the lines to figure out motives and attitudes. Within the reading section lessons on this website, one discusses making inferences specifically. Now, while approaching the prose fiction selection, be an active reader. Think about who did what, why, and when within the selection, and visualize the story while reading. Visualizing will help greatly when answering the questions. If you already pictured it in your mind, the recall will be quick. It's important to practice reading selections that are about 1,000 words long and time yourself. Work at finding a pace that leaves plenty of time to answer 10 questions after reading the selection. Try to get your speed to the point where you can read a 750 to 1,000 word selection in 5 minutes or less. That'll leave you 30 to 45 seconds per question on the reading portion. Time is important, so skip questions of higher difficulty, answer the ones you know right away, and then go back to the ones you think you might know, leaving the most difficult questions for last so you can just put in a guess if you have to. So in conclusion, the prose fiction selection is different than the rest. It will ask questions related to literature terms like mood, tone, plot, and characterization. Practice, and practice pacing, and you'll do fine.